Here are the notes for summary statistics. So the very first thing that we're going to do is that whenever you have data, you're going to put the data in order from least to greatest. So go ahead and put the data in order from least to greatest. For all three of these, you can go ahead and pause the video and come back. So since you put your data in order from least to greatest, if you notice every single number that was in my data set, I wrote. So in this case, there was 2 6s, so I had to write 2 6s. In this case, there was 2 12s and 2 14s and 3 6s in this case. So whenever you have your data, make sure that you have done all of your data. And if you notice, every time I use one, I just cross one off. So make sure you count or cross off to make sure you've got every single data point. Now, the very first thing we're going to talk about is called our 5-number summary. So this is mainly going to be talking about tomorrow, which is our box and whisker plot. So the first one is called the smallest number. So the mathematical term for the smallest number is called the minimum. So if we look at this first data set, our smallest number is 2. This one is 10. And then this one is 3. So we're just doing the smallest number. So it's super easy, especially since you put it in order. The next one is the largest number. We call it the maximum. The largest number on this one is 12. This one is 16. And this one is 9. Now if you notice the way I numbered it, it goes 1, 2, 4, 5, and then drops down to 3. 3 is kind of hanging out by itself because this has 2 meanings. So this is part of our 5-number summary, and this also helps us measure the middle of the data, or it's called the center. So this one is when we put them in order, and then we find the center. So this is called the median. So the easiest way to find the median, in my case, is a lot of people like to cross off the numbers, and that's okay. I just like to put dots so I don't completely cross off my data. So I'm just going to go 1 dot at a time from left to right until I can't find another pair. So all of them are dotted except this one, so 6 is our median for the first data set. Now go ahead and do the next one. So again, just bouncing between both sides. Now in this case, I actually have a pair that I could dot, but that would leave me with no median. So in this case, and it tells you in your notes, is if there are 2 numbers in the center, we're going to average them. So to average them, you just add them up and then divide by 2. So the 2 numbers that we're working with are 12 and 13. So we're going to say 12 plus 13, and we're going to divide that by 2 since we have 2 numbers. So we get 25, and divided by 2, and we get 12 and a half. Now, if you can easily think of what is in between 12 and 13, then you should know that's 12 and a half. So you can add them up and divide by 2, or you can, if you know that 12 and a half is in between, you can go ahead and write 12 and a half. Now we're going to do the next one. And this one, we're left with 6. Our last 2 numbers for our 5-number summary are these 2 right here. So we got 4 and 5. They're in the same box since we're pretty much doing the same thing. So now the first thing is we actually have to find the median first. So that's why the median is number 3, and then these are 4 and 5. So the very first thing is we're going to use the median to split the data into 2 parts. So then it says do not include the median in either side of the data. That's if we have a true median. So if we have 2 and then we added it and divided by 2, that's not a true median. So this one, there wasn't a true median, so that's why we added and divided by 2. This one was a true median. So we're going to go ahead and rewrite your data in all 3 of these boxes. You can go ahead, pause the video, and come back. Okay, so we know that this one, our median was 6, and it was actually the second 6 up here. So because this was a true median, we're going to draw a line straight over it. So we just split this data in half. So if you count, we have 4 data sets or data points here, and then we have 4 data points here. So that's the easiest way to know if you split correctly is if you have the same amount on both sides. Now, what you're going to do is that it says find the median of each half. Now the median of the lower half is called the lower quartile. So number 4 is called the lower quartile. So we call that Q1. So we're going to find the median of this first half. So just like we normally find it, if we notice it's between 3 and 5, so you can add them up, or if you know what exactly is in the middle of 3 and 5. So we get 8 divided by 2 is 4. So 4 is our Q1. Now we're going to do the second half. So the second half starts with these. And again, we're left with 2 of them. So we got 8 plus 9, 17 is 8.5. Now the name, obviously, because it's the upper half, so this is the lower half. That's why it's called the lower quartile. This is the upper half, so it's called the upper quartile. This is actually called Q3. So yeah, it's kind of weird that we jump from Q1 to Q3. Well, our median is actually called our Q2. We just don't normally call it that. We just call it the median. So that's why it goes Q1, then the median, then Q3. So 4 is our Q1, 8.5 is our Q3. Now our next one, if we look down when we found the median, we didn't have a true median. So it was in between these two. So now, because it was in between these two, we're actually going to split the data right in between those. So we're actually including those in our halves because we didn't have a true median. So true medians, you draw the line over that number. If there's not a true median, you cut the line straight in between those. So the median between the first two, we got 11 plus 12 divided by 2. We get 23 divided by 2. So we get our Q1 is 11.5. And then our next one, we are in between 14 and 14. And it's easy to remember. You can always add if you can't remember these tricks. But obviously, the number in between 14 and 14 is going to be 14. Okay, so if you want to go ahead and pause the video, go ahead and do number 3 and see what you get. Okay, so you should have known to draw a line over the 6 because it was a true median. And these were actually pretty easy. So we only had 3. We actually had a true median, so we didn't have to add or divide. So our Q1 should have been 5, and our Q3 should have been 8. So minimum, maximum, median, Q1, and Q3 are your 5 number summaries.